12:14 Eastern time. In the
Yeah.
morning, we're finally here. The Las Vegas Aces win, and we're gonna get a very, very physical WNBA Finals. Candace Pedraza is here, FanSided, um, Winsidr as well. Was covering the shit out of the WNBA all season. YouTube don't demonetize me because I said the S word within the first minute and change. Listen, we got a lot to get into. We'll start with what we just saw as I pull up the numbers. Vegas 107-98 went into overtime. Leah Boston fouled out. Kelsey Mitchell had a scary, just kind of random injury that we're still getting updates about. We'll see the severity of that long term, but I wasn't able to return. And the Aces played with their food, and just incredible shot making overtime period. And there it goes. So, Candace, your reaction to this game, everything we just saw before we end up moving forward.
Immediate reaction is something is in the water in Indiana because something is up with their basketball teams where just no matter who is injured or what the circumstances are, they are just going to persevere and push through it and somehow make every game a rock fight, which I respect as a fan of New York basketball,
Sure.
which is like kind of like what I love to see. But they just wouldn't go away. And I am equal parts terrified for what they could look like next year with a fully healthy roster, and also interested to see who they actually keep on from a lot of these hardship deals, especially Odyssey Sims, who looked really good today. Shea Petty had moments. Ari McDonald looked fantastic when she had signed on initially before also getting injured. So they have a lot of question marks on that roster. On the flip side, the Aces, I don't know. I feel like the last couple of games, I feel like a few of the warts that were kind of creeping up on them throughout the regular season started to creep in again against this Fever team. I don't know if it was because Indiana was just playing so physically and they felt like they had to kind of like take a step back or be, it just felt like they were being less aggressive, especially defensively against Indiana these last few games. I do think that in overtime, it felt like they ticked it up a little bit more. I don't know if it was just the adrenaline of being so close to just finally closing things out and you could just get over that hump and get back to the finals, that kicked them into overdrive. But that is the sense that I got. But I will say, while I disagreed with whatever that play was at the end of regulation, that Becky Hammond drew up.
Just 2 seconds on this?
Yeah.
End of regulation. Jackie Young is just trying to make shit happen. Just
Yes.
doing her best. And we're watching the play develop. I can't remember if it was Jackie Young getting the ball for Chelsea Gray or vice versa. But regardless, no, actually, Chelsea Gray got the ball. I remember this. Chelsea Gray got the ball. Asia Wilson is flashing over, but it's to set a screen for
Yep.
Jackie Young. And there's like 8 seconds left on the shot clock. And I'm like, is she going to then just roll hard and they're going to try to get her at the rim, whatever, however this is going to develop? But this isn't making a ton of sense to me. And it's like, oh no, Jackie Young's just going to try to make some shit happen at the top of the key. And it's like, oh, okay. I guess. And Asia Wilson doesn't touch the ball while Leah Boston's fouled out of the game. And while Kelsey Mitchell is obviously off the court. That could have really been dangerous. Like if the Fever win this game, that's what we're talking about right now.
100%. And I think that Asia struggled a bit down the stretch compared to the first half. So I'm wondering if maybe that was the logic where they felt like Jackie had the hotter hands and they felt like she could maybe make something happen a bit more easily than Asia could. But to me, in a situation where the player who had been defending Asia, or at least pestering Asia the best this entire series, is no longer an option to be on the floor to defend her. You need to be feeding her, force feeding her the ball in the post, no matter what in that scenario. The game was tied. You have nothing to lose. So it's like, I understand maybe Jackie felt the same way and Becky Hammond felt the same way. So she was just like, make something happen. And if you can't, we'll make it happen in overtime. But to me, it felt a little bit like overthinking. And they should have just fed their best player in that scenario. And we could have probably started talking about this game at like 11:45 instead.
Yeah, because you were early, which I appreciate. And then, of course, the game was late. We'll go through a few of the numbers here before we look ahead to the finals. And we will talk about Napheesa Collier at the end. I cannot wait. Cannot wait to get your thoughts on that. We're going to play some of the sound. Hopefully, we'll legally be able to do that. But it's YouTube. You know, it's all fair game. A'ja Wilson and Jackie Young, first teammates to get 30 each in a playoff game, 35 for A'ja Wilson, who also had 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and 4 blocks, just A'ja doing A'ja. And Jackie Young, who just made big shot after big shot, big free throw after big free throw also. It's like free throws in high pressure situations coming through, perfect 8 for 8, missed 1 free throw this entire series on volume, 32 points, 10 assists, also 4 of 11 from 3, so 36%, not bad there. Didn't get a ton else from anyone other than Chelsea Gray, just from a consistency perspective, although I thought Jewel Lloyd actually hit a big shot or two down the stretch. And Chelsea Gray was just, she's the engine. Like she badly rolled her ankle, came back and made some just hilariously clutch shots at the end of this game, 17 points, 6 assists. And then kick it over to the Fever. Odyssey Sims, who was ridiculous, 27 points. 12 of 13, continue to attack, continue to get into the lane, creating at will. They needed her juice, and she gave them everything she could. Natasha Howard, I thought, was really good, 16, 7, and 5. Leah Boston, you know, the discipline on fouls, like it came back to bite them, and she ultimately couldn't finish the game, but 11 points, 16 rebounds. She was forced on the glass, but you know, she did get called for, I think, a couple of fouls were maybe ticky-tack. I think that's fair. I think Kelsey Mitchell was being Kelsey Mitchell before she unfortunately got injured. And Shea Petty also deserves a shout out off the bench. Just final word on this game before we move to previewing the finals. Candace, what do you got?
I think that this game definitely showed me that the matchup between Vegas and Phoenix is going to, like they were talking about the entire game, it's going to come down to guard play for sure. Because in this game, in moments where A'ja was not able to hit shots, Jackie Young literally saved the day. And then you also had Chelsea Gray, the luxury of having Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray on the court together cannot be overstated for Vegas's chances against Phoenix. And that was proven. And then even on the flip side of that, while Odyssey Sims did everything she possibly could to keep Indiana in this game, Lexi Hall very uncharacteristically went 0 for 6 from 3-point range. And a lot of those were open 3-pointers and corner threes, which is like that's her bread and butter. So, you know, this game probably looks a lot different if she's shooting closer to her average and maybe things are a bit tighter down the stretch than they ended up being. So I feel like guard play did end up being pretty huge in this series and in this game, obviously.
So the series price is out for the degenerates out there, the gamblers out there. This is real interesting to me. So we have a damn near even, but the Aces being slightly favored here, which makes sense. Minus 140, no surprise. Mercury plus 120, which in English, this is expected to be a very close series. And we'll see where the money ultimately comes in. And as far as series spread, it's projected to be really close. Worth noting, first 7-game WNBA Finals. We're going to see how that goes. And then there will be some CBA talk immediately after. Or there weren't, or they won't, and we'll have a lockout. But this is what it is. So season series didn't go well for the Mercury. As I'm pulling it up here, we'll look at a little bit of that. But I think the main thing here, though, is I don't think this is going to be like the same. Like this does feel like a different Mercury team. It's not even just from a confidence standpoint to me, although the Aces were obviously like this. They're different now because during the regular season they were struggling. But we have here, these are all the matchups from the regular season. Aces win 3 out of 4, including the last 3. So you have August 21st, August 15th, August 29th. I could have sworn there was a 5th, but we have 4 matchups here. 83-61 was the last one, and this is from August 21st. Candace, I'm not going to make too much of the regular season matchups here. I think any team with Alyssa Thomas as the head of the snake is going to be like tough as shit. And she's demonstrated that. Like I've said in the playoffs, top 5 players that I don't want to see in a playoff series if I'm on the other side. Satu Sabali is the one for me where it's like, okay, if she's finals MVP talented. If she could actually like confidently generate these open looks, cash in from 3, just be the force that she is offensively, I think this makes this series like this could really bend Vegas's defense, but we don't know if we're going to get that consistently in this series. That's sort of the main thing that I'm looking out for. There are a couple things there, but for you, I guess, what are you most looking forward to with this series?
So I actually, off the top of my head, I don't remember when Collier Copper came back from injury. So I'm not sure if she played. I think she probably must have played in like that last game that they had against each other. Yeah. Okay. I think that's a really big X factor that the New York Liberty just went through, that the Minnesota Lynx just had to handle, is the fact that these teams, many of them, had not known a Phoenix Mercury team from this season with Copper healthy. With her back on the court, they are a completely different team and a completely different beast to try to stop on offense. And defensively, they are so much more dynamic because they're not asking a rookie, Monica Koa-Makani, to do ridiculously heavy lifting. You're not asking Alyssa Thomas to do ridiculously heavy lifting on both ends of the court. You have Collier Copper, who is an excellent defender. And so that's a big key for me, but I totally agree with you. I feel like Satu is going to be the X factor for Phoenix in this series, just because I think in the 3 games that they won against Minnesota, she was averaging about 25 points per game. The one game that they had lost, she had only, I think, scored about 10 points. So if she's on, it's quite difficult for Phoenix to find a way to lose against an elite team like Minnesota. So if she's locked in, if she's hitting these trailing threes and is in sync with both Copper and Thomas on the floor, and she is maintaining that intensity that she tends to have, especially feeding off of Alyssa Thomas and Collier Copper, I don't know. It looks a little questionable for Vegas, especially given the defense that I literally just saw them play in this game against Indiana.
Yeah, and so this is also during the Aces tear, right? As they were like figuring it out, putting it together. Jewel Lloyd was coming off the bench. So the last couple times, like that's a little bit more representative. Although the last one, I don't. Maybe the Aces do blow them out once or twice, just because maybe specifically at home, just because there are times where the Mercury offense could just be in the mud, which is another staple of a team led by Alyssa Thomas. Like it's just going to happen at times. But look, she's going to have her near triple doubles or her actual triple doubles in this game as well. So this is a representative sample that I think is, as somebody speeds in my neighborhood, it happens a lot here. Like it's ridiculous. It's getting out of hand. Like I sound like a Karen, but yo,
I get it.
You I don't know. I'm not gonna do it. Like I just think having a fast car in New York City is stupid. Like I just think it's stupid. Like whatever. But anyway, Phoenix Mercury, Las Vegas Aces. This is from August 15th, so less than 2 months ago. This is the last time these two teams played each other in a game that was competitive, because we just outlined about a week later, Vegas won by 22 points. This is also the most recent time that they played against each other in Phoenix. And here, remembering this well, this is what I'm talking about with Satu Sabali. They did not win this game, but God, 26, and the way she was getting these looks and just making them with confidence was like just 3-level scoring, getting to the rim, hitting from 3 for 7. just creating shots. Alyssa Thomas was her usual self, and Kalia Copper was here. And one of the things I do worry about though is can you get enough from the others? Not Dewana Bonner necessarily, but the others aside from that. And then with the aces, it's always like, okay, you have Kirsten Bell in the starting lineup, and she's obviously there for less of a role. She's kind of a spot starter or a starter that you're not going to play big minutes to unless she's just hitting for whatever reason from three, particularly. And then Alyssa Smith is kind of a swing piece where it's like you don't really know what you're going to get, but if the offense is there, yeah, you want to ride her momentum. But otherwise, similarly, I'm trusting their big three of Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young. And then from there, it's like, yo, I would like for Jewel Lloyd to be a little more consistent. And Dana Evans can really pop at times, but sometimes you only get it in flashes. So this is very much to me and Asia Wilson's the best player in the series, but this is a supporting cast series to me. Like who's going to get more out of their role players, out of their bench, out of their others, quote unquote, because I trust the stars to mostly show up.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that if we're calling it now, Vegas's bench has been a lot more reliable, I've found in the postseason so far compared to Phoenix's. I think that Sammy Wickham has obviously had her big moments in the playoffs this year, but she has been extremely streaky and has been more often than not reliable from 3-point range, which is sort of what they're looking to her for. And then they don't really trust the rest of their bench. It's really just Sammy Wickham, and everyone else is just kind of there. I would love to see them play Kalani Brown more. I feel like she could be a big key in this series, especially against Asia Wilson. She's not, I would not say an elite defender, but she is at least someone that you can have in the post to present a bit of a wall against Asia. But again, I don't know if she's enough to really stop her as well. But I do think that the Aces bench, specifically of Jewel Lloyd and especially of Dana Evans, who I have loved since she was in Chicago, I felt like they really mismanaged her role there. And I was super excited to see her land with the Aces. And then with the Aces, her role was a bit mismanaged, but now she's starting to click. And so I think she's going to be huge in this series as well off their bench. But I totally agree. It's going to definitely come down to how much can they get out of their role players, because this score from this game, 3-point difference, that's going to be more or less what we see pretty much every game in this series, I think. I don't think that this is
Hopefully.
going to have, I don't think there's going to be any blowouts.
Really?
And
Okay.
you could clip it and I could be totally wrong. But I really do not see a world where these two teams are not in an absolute rock fight every single night that they're playing, just because that's just their nature. That's just how they've been this entire year. And I just feel like talent-wise, they match up very well. So
yeah, I'm expecting physicality for sure. I'm expecting physicality. I think they're going to get on each other's nerves. I think Satu Sabali and Alyssa Thomas are going to have to be separated from Asia Wilson at some point, or Chelsea Gray or whatever. Like I'm expecting a couple of those. By the way, lines already moved. We're getting some action on the Mercury. Plus 115 from plus 120, and the Aces are minus 135. This is fun. Exact games. We can do predictions now. I think we can do that before moving on to Napheesa Collier. Let's do finals predictions briefly. I'm going to start by tossing it to you because I'm going to be a coward, and you're the guest. But I will give my prediction after you finish. But I'm also going to get a couple more seconds to think about it here. So what do you think is going to happen in the series?
So, like I said, I think it is going to go far. I don't think it's going to go to 7. I don't think it's going to go to 7 games. I think it'll go to about 6. I'm saying 6. I think as of right now, given what I've seen, I have to go with the Aces. winning this series, simply because their big three, like we were just talking about, is a lot more consistent. Um, and I can see them carrying the momentum from this finals clinching win into this series, especially Chelsea Gray, who looked ridiculously vintage in that final sequence in overtime where she was hitting those like circus shots from 3-point range. That's the Chelsea Gray that I feel like is the difference maker for the Aces that makes them go from great to unbeatable. Um, Again, every game is going to be close. I don't think there's going to be any blowouts unless Asia drops 50, which could happen.
I don't know if it surprised me at this point. She's on a tear.
I will not. I can't say she wouldn't. But I do think that the Aces win the series, and I think we get. I'm gonna go Asia just for finals
Yeah,
MVP.
yeah. It's tough not to.
Yeah,
Like, it's tough not to. Jackie Young would have to put up some insane numbers
yeah,
consistently, and she can, but Asia will. Like, that's
yeah,
kind of the thing.
exactly.
Like, Asia might have a couple of games where it's like, I don't know if she's going to start off a game 1 for 13 again, like she did once in a game against the feet. They still won that game, by the way, because
Yeah,
their supporting
it's
cast were ridiculous. At times in this series. Final schedule here, we have it. Um, Oh, Sarah Jane and I follow each other. Okay. So Sarah Jane Gamelli posted this. Covers W for, I want to say, Ball is Life. So Phoenix, Vegas. This series begins Friday. It's going to be Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be in Vegas, the first two games. So this is just classic 2-2-1-1-1, just NBA style we've seen over and over again. So we're bringing it to the W. I'm excited for a 7-game series finally. I think that and these are two teams that they're going to grind their asses down, each other's asses down, and it's going to
yeah,
be very fun to see how this unfolds. All the start times are at 8, except for the 2 Sunday games at 3. So we have game 1 Friday, October 3rd. Game 2 Sunday, October 5th. It's going to be 8 p.m. and then 3 p.m. So a little more than a day turnaround until game 2, both those games in Vegas. And then off until Wednesday and Friday, you get both games in Phoenix. Those are both at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Then Sunday. So Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So just 1 day rest in between. And that includes a travel day. So we're going from Phoenix after game 4 to Vegas, if necessary, for a game 5 that's less than 2 days later, because it's going to be early Sunday. And then on October 15th and October 17th, Wednesday, Friday, Phoenix, Vegas, if necessary, for games 6 and 7. That's going to be both starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's the finals schedule. And something tells me we'll be playing into the teens. I think. I think we can get to. I think we can get to. Like, I'm expecting 6 or 7.
hmm
I think there's a world where, to your point, though, like the Aces can kind of just be awesome, and it's like, oh, Phoenix just doesn't have enough here. I'm expecting Phoenix to get at least 2, and this is kind of a head says Vegas, heart says Phoenix situation for me,
hmm
because I really believe this Mercury team is legit good. Like, I think these are 2 of the best 3 teams in the league. The other one being Minnesota. The Liberty should be there. Injuries, they didn't quite have it this year. They were cut below, I felt like, and I thought the Mercury were going to beat them in that series. I think in this series, my head says Vegas, and actually 7 games, 6 or 7 games. I want to say 7, but I have this feeling about Phoenix, like they could actually pull this off. I just don't know if A'ja Wilson's just going to be on the losing team in the finals at this stage against the Phoenix Mercury team, who has like still a top 3 MVP contender, but do they have enough in totality? I mean, to me, this is a 7-game series. I lean Vegas. They're going to be home for that too. They're a very, very, very tough team to beat at home. But if anyone could do it, it's a team with the makeup of Phoenix. It's a team with that mentality, a team that can grind you down, a team that also, while grinding you down, they have a couple bucket getters in Satu Sabali, Clea Copper, obviously Alyssa Thomas too. But yeah, this is a head says Vegas in 7. but heart kind of is like, Phoenix can pull this off in 7 games. So that's where I'm at. But Vegas in 7 is like the conscious prediction, the
Yeah.
conscious one. It's the one that I'd probably bet on. But I want to pick Phoenix, but I'm just like, Asia's like just ridiculous. Like it's legitimately like picking against whoever the best player in the NBA is at any given time.
Yeah.
It's
Very
hard.
true.
It's hard.
Yeah. It feels wrong to bet against a team with Asia Wilson.
Feels wrong. Yes.
I can't count them out. Both teams, however, have plenty of finals experience, have championship experience between the both of them. AT might genuinely be so tired of losing in the postseason and just losing out on being like this close to a trophy that she refuses also to lose. There's a lot of chips on people's shoulders, I feel like, on both of these teams. So that's why I do think it's just going to be such a close series. It's such a close game every single game, because I think both teams have that mentality of like,
Yeah.
we cannot walk off this court with a loss. Like, absolutely no way. So, yeah, this is a finals matchup I was never anticipating would happen. And one that I'm very thrilled is happening, just because it is such a fun matchup, genuinely.
Before we get to Napheesa Collier, a couple questions in the chat. Questions, comments, donations, always welcome here. Just be cool. Rick Smith said, what I saw was a team with Olympians barely sneak by a team that had mostly bench players playing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, Rick, can't say you're wrong. We're being
That is what
totally
happened.
honest. And the fever, Candace, this. They're going to be a very, very trendy pick next year to win the title. Like, I think most people right now, would be like next year's finals, Lynx, Fever, because these are the teams that kind of fell apart in the semis, where it felt like if healthy, especially for the Lynx, but even the Fever, because they were so broken down, like the possibilities are there. They laid out a winning foundation. Them winning in the first round was an upset, even though the Atlanta Dream were better than expected.
Yeah.
So Rick, I mean,
you're making points.
I can't say you're wrong.
You are definitely making points.
Eagles brother 92. This is going to be a fun finals. We both agree. We all agree. I'm curious to see who on the Aces is going to slow down AT. Kind of has to be Asia.
I think that does come down to Asia, because you have to put your best defender on AT, because she is a brick wall driving into the paint.
Yes.
And the only person that can stop that is another brick wall, which is Asia. Melissa Smith is not going to be able to handle that assignment at all. I'm fearful of how she's going to handle the assignment of potentially then having to defend Satu as a result of Asia being switched onto AT. Yeah. I might.
No, to your point. We just saw this with the Lynx and the Mercury. It was Napheesa Collier and Alyssa Thomas on each other, guarding each other, playing against each other, competing against each other. You don't get that in the NBA a lot.
No.
Because matchup schemes and this person has to guard this person. We got to save this person. And the W is like, nah, bro, we're gonna guard each other. We're gonna do all the shit we got to do on offense and guard the other team's best player. In the NBA, I feel like you get that less and less. That was good to see. Not that you don't get that at all, but it's more rare. For teams to be willing to throw their best player on, because it's grueling. It's a tough task, especially with the speed these games are being played now. Like, we'll see. Hopefully nobody breaks down in that case. Okay. The main event, Napheesa Collier, the statement heard around the world at this point. We're going to play this and react to it. Candace, stop me at any point, or stop her at any point. But she released a statement today. This is how she begun Baggy Day. Baggy Day is basically like you do your exit interview and you leave for the off season. And in the exits, she had a 4-minute statement targeted at, among others, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. And by the way, this is amid a potential lockout situation. There's not a new CBA agreement, and we'll see what happens here. So here's what Napheesa Collier had to say, and this is courtesy of basically the entire internet because everybody was posting this. Malika Andrews tweeted it out, though, among many others.
Thank you all for your time today.
You could hear it, right? By the way, I
Yeah.
should have checked that.
I have prepared a statement that I would like to make before taking any questions. All right. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate the Mercury for advancing to the finals. And I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office. Since I've been in the league, you've heard the constant concerns about officiating, and it has now reached levels of inconsistency that plague our sport and undermine the integrity in which it operates.
Okay.
Whether the league cares.
We literally just saw an example of that in this game because you have Aaliyah Boston getting called for that sixth foul, which was a little questionable. She was getting called for, honestly, fouls in this game that were a little questionable throughout the game. To be fair, I do think that there were a lot of times during this series that she was getting away with a lot of stuff against Asia. In this game, I cannot say the same. And you know it's bad when I literally posted, I think in the first quarter, that I felt like this game was going to come down to a bad call. No matter what, it was going to come down to a bad call. You should not feel like that about an elimination game at all. Like, the refs should not be front of mind in that scenario.
And look, I try to shoot refs bail because officiating live basketball is very difficult, but the officiating in these playoffs in some instances, I mean, it's been basketball just in general. In the NBA playoffs, I saw it in FIBA also during like Eurobasket, the AmeriCup, the Afrobasket, like all the officiating just been weird. And I also didn't like Cheryl Reeve. I get why, but I didn't like that she got suspended for the last game.
Just ridiculous.
What became the last game of the series, but I didn't like that. I thought that, like, come on, the season's on the line. Napheesa Collier is out. I didn't like that. Just the spirit of it felt wrong to me, even though things aren't necessarily always called in the spirit. But Napheesa continues.
Cares about the health of the players is one thing, but to also not care about the product we put on the floor is truly self-sabotage. Year after year, the only thing that remains consistent is the lack of accountability from our leaders. Sorry, I had to walk here in my boot. I'm kind of out of breath.
I thought that was really funny, by the way. She's like, yo, and the look into the camera, like, it's coming. All right, let's continue.
The league has a buzzword that they've rolled out as talking points for the CBA as to why they can't pay the players what we're worth. That word is sustainability. But what's truly unsustainable is keeping a good product on the floor while allowing officials to lose control of games. Fans see it every night. Coaches, both winning and losing, point it out every night in pregame and postgame media. Yet leadership just issues fines and looks the other way. They ignore the issues that everyone inside the game is begging to be fixed. That is negligence. At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Kathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. Okay. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything.
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy, first of all.
It's like very extremely.
Assuming Napheesa Collier is telling the truth, then we ain't gonna call her liars. We ain't gonna call her a liar here. Candace, you remember when before Caitlin Clark was in the WNBA, Ice Cube was trying to throw like millions of dollars at her to play in the Big Three? And by the way, I was like, please don't do this. I didn't think she would, because I feel like she does have a lot of like integrity, like cares about like, yo, I want to do this the right competitive way, like in the W, in here, whatever, like those kinds of things.
Yeah.
She was worth a lot of money before coming into the W, where, by the way, she makes like less than $80,000 in terms of salary. There's people who do this job who make more than that. Not many, because the
Mm-hmm.
economy sucks, but still.
Yeah.
Angel Reese less than 80K, like, and you have women in the WNBA still, even after they adjusted the salaries and improved this a few years ago with the new CBA that's about to expire. You still have players making 40, 50, 60K for a league that's continuing to be more successful, draw higher ratings, and just be more in the public than ever before. From a business perspective, like, this doesn't add up. Where the highest paid player, I believe, is Kelsey Mitchell, actually, who makes a shade under 250 grand. You have players on two-way NBA contracts making more than that. And it's not, look, should they make what the NBA players make? Like, no, because of all the money, things like that. Right. But it's the percentage. And the percentage is what the players are fighting for. And the percentage hasn't added up. Because if you're looking at them getting a bigger slice of the pie, which is what they're going to fight for and going to advocate for, and Napheesa Collier is at the center of that, they're like, no, the highest paid player in the league shouldn't be making 250K in a year. Yeah. Especially when Unrivaled has comparable salaries, and in some instances, or many instances rather, you have players making more from Unrivaled, according to various reports.
Yeah. And I do think it's funny that they allegedly had this conversation during Unrivaled, which is a league that I don't think the WNBA is very fond of happening, because they are a direct competitor. And obviously there's a lot that goes into players deciding to go play in a league and potentially risk their health and ability to play in the WNBA with Unrivaled. But it's like, they've also provided things that the league never has. They've provided childcare services on site during Unrivaled games. They've provided insurance for injuries. So if you get hurt, you are still going to get paid out for your contract. Mm-hmm. They've provided just obviously a very, it seems like, welcoming environment, especially for players who are younger in the league, since they have so many players coming in through a developmental program. Players that are still in college currently are set to be in Unrivaled already. Big names, like I feel like Lauren Betts and AZ Fudd are already seemingly on board with joining the league.
Paige Beckers she's been in the league with, she had ties to the league before she was in W.
Yeah, her and Flauget were both promoting the league while they were still actively in college. They're doing things that the W literally just has never thought to do for some reason, and refuses to do, because they feel like what they're doing is doing right by definitely ownership.
Yeah, it's different. You're not going to be it's a corporate versus people thing. It always comes down to this in this country. That's ultimately what it is. WNBA is a corporation, just like most other big businesses, and Unrivaled it's a business, but it's also founded by players with different intentions than just making money. It's and the real test to me is going to be when, because I don't think it's an if, when Unrivaled grows enough to go to 5-on-5 basketball. Because the other alternative on top of all the great things you mentioned, the other thing it offers is the ability to stay here and not have to go to EuroLeague to get a bag. EuroLeague is awesome, by the way. If players want to continue to do that, by all means, but they don't have to. It's not something that has to be considered. They don't have to go to Asia. They don't have to go to Australia. Other players legitimately had to. You had players years ago, and even some still do, but you had players years ago, they would play an entire WNBA season. So you could call it training camp from April to whenever the season ends in September, October. I guess it depends on which team you're on. And then the season overseas is starting. So you have to go to Europe, you have to go to Asia, you have to go to wherever it is, and you're playing through March, and then you're back in training camp for the WNBA, you're playing through April, you're back. It's year round, because even though you're home playing basketball, you're making more money overseas, or you're not making enough, because a lot of players, again, were making 5 figures before. You know what I mean? What people make just sitting in offices, doing jobs that are very meaningful, but probably aren't drawing the eyeballs of WNBA players. So real quick before we get back to Fee's comments, these were the top salaries this year. Kelsey Mitchell, as I mentioned, a shade under 250 grand. And like there's a drop off. Napheesa Collier, by the way, here 214 grand. Players, like a lot of these players are getting, not a lot of, but players are getting more endorsements than they used to. Like you've seen Jewel Lloyd, for example, on a State Farm ad. You're seeing players like Caitlin Clark is obviously everywhere. Angel Reese is obviously everywhere. But even players like, just on a lesser scale in terms of name recognition, like they're getting ads and stuff. And you go down and it's like you're getting quickly under $200,000 for, a full season of WNBA basketball. And you have a lot of players here in this range. What? We're gonna overlook that ad.
Wow.
What's causing
Crazy.
What's causing 6 months of what diarrhea? And then here you're getting like, look, Aaliyah Boston, who was recently a number 1 overall pick, is getting $83K. She's in ads now. She's probably good, but still, like this is crazy. And as I mentioned, Paige Becker's 78. Caitlin Clark is in the same range. Did I miss her? She's here somewhere.
I think she's even lower. I think.
Oh, 70. Yeah, actually, you're right. There's a lot in the 78 range. Dominique Malonga, like all the draft picks. Kiki, I always fuck up her last name. Iriefin, Bria Hartley, 78K, who just got back into the league, by the way, who was recovering from injury. Rakia Jackson, so on and so forth. And all the way down, you're getting to still here, DeWanna Bonner, 63K, although she signed late in the year. But you're in the 60s, you're in the 50s, and then you have players on like the hardship contracts and stuff. So like this is what it is. It's like you're not getting a lot here. So all right, let's continue with Fee's comments, because this is where she starts to really cook.
I think you might have to flip it back. I don't know if it was playing or not.
Oh, my fault. We will go back to Fee right now.
Plan to address the officiating issues in our list was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. Battle every day is thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them.
Okay, this is where I wanted to actually go to.
Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them.
If she said that word for word, that's crazy. All right,
let's continue. Yeah.
This word for word, that's really crazy. Two more minutes of this.
That's mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them. I have the privilege of watching my husband run a league where he has to balance 100 different things at once. I won't pretend the job is easy, but even with all of that on his plate, he always takes the time to reach out to players when he sees an injury, whether it's unrivaled or even during the WNBA season. That is what leadership looks like. It's the human element. It's basic integrity, and it's the bare minimum any leader should embody. This year alone, I've gotten calls, texts, and well wishes from so many players across the league. Those moments remind me that sometimes there are things bigger than the results than this game we play. But do you know who I haven't heard from? Kathy. Not one call, not one text. Instead, the only outreach has come from her number 2 telling my agent that she doesn't believe physical play is contributing to injuries. That is infuriating. And it's the perfect example of the tone-deaf, dismissive approach that our leaders always seem to take.
That's just, yeah.
So many parallels with, just the world and how businesses get fractured.
Like, I don't actually care about your ankle getting torn up, but I just want you to know it's not her fault. Just so you know.
Her husband, by the way, Alex Basil, I think is how you pronounce his last name, is the president of Unrivaled, for people who don't know. So, I mean, obviously, husband, business partner, father of their child, all these different things. Yeah. And Listen, I don't think she'd marry a dude if he was careless when it comes to these things,
Yeah.
given her values and her standards. Like that's just
Mhm.
life. That's just life shit. That's not even specific to basketball or whatever. But you know, if you have the same core values as someone, yeah, you're gonna want to roll with them. And
Right.
Kathy here uh continues to be under the gun. We have a minute of this left.
I've finally grown tired. For too long, I have tried to have these conversations in private, but it's clear there is no intention of accepting there's a problem. The league has made it clear it isn't about innovation, it isn't about collaboration, it's about control and power. I've earned this platform and I've paid the price to get here, and now I have a responsibility to speak on behalf of the fans and everyone in this league that deserves better. Our leadership's answer to being held accountable is to suppress everyone's voices by handing out fines. I'm not concerned about a fine. I'm concerned about the future of our sport. At some point, everyone deserves to hear the truth from someone who I hope has earned the benefit of the doubt to fight for what is right and fair for our athletes and our fans. We have the best players in the world. We have the best fans in the world. But right now, we have the worst leadership in the world. If I didn't know exactly what the job entailed, maybe I wouldn't feel this way. But unfortunately for them, I do. We serve a league that has shown they think championship coaches and Hall of Fame players are dispensable, and that's fine. It's professional sports. But I will not stand quietly by and allow different standards to be applied at the league level. Thank you.
And then the first question, I wish it was in this clip, but the first question from the presser was somebody was like, "Hey, Napheesa, do you think you'd still read that statement if you guys won?"
Oh my god.
Something along those lines when I saw it, the longer version of it.
Elite
Candace,
first question.
Candace, we heard the entire thing.
Yeah.
What was your initial reaction when this came across your phone? Because we started seeing like, wait, she said what? Like she had a statement, because you don't see this, and I'm glad we saw it, but you don't typically see this.
You don't typically see it, and well, when I first saw it across my phone, it was messages from coworkers saying, "Hey, has anyone seen what Fee is saying right now about Kathy?" And I was like, "No," but I assumed it was like, kind of like Cheryl's statement, where it's just like, the refereeing is like out of control and it's a problem, and that was that. I didn't know it was like this fully prepared statement that was like so, pro labor and
Yes.
like anti the, powers,
Anti-establishment. Yes.
anti-establishment, anti the powers that be in the WNBA. No idea that that's where this was going. And so when I saw these clips, I was like, wow, like she is so. We knew that she was intelligent, obviously, and Napheesa Collier is extremely intelligent. And the thing that proves that is the fact that she decided to name drop Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Beckers in this statement, because she knows those are three fandoms that are absolutely, let's say, passionate about those three players, to put it mildly.
Yes. No, that's
Extremely
fair.
passionate,
Yes.
extremely active. That's going to draw so much attention to the issues at hand within these negotiations and with the league in relation to how they handle their players. So I thought that was brilliant. And then the second thing that I saw was that immediately after her making this statement, she had like 100% support from any player that was asked about. Yeah, exactly. Just complete 100% support from literally any player that saw the statement or heard about the statement. Asia hadn't even heard the statement before their game tonight, and she was like, but whatever she said, I'm behind it 100%. And I support that.
I can hear her
Kathy's
saying
response
that.
is interesting because she doesn't deny saying these things that Napheesa Collier
I'll
is
read
saying
it.
she said.
I'll read it. Commissioner statement. Look, and I tweeted, you can't corporate your way out of this one, because that's what corporate will try to do. Kathy said,
Yes.
I have the utmost respect for Napheesa Collier and for all the players in the WNBA. Together, we have all worked tirelessly to transform this league. My focus remains on ensuring a bright future for the players and the WNBA, including collaborating on how we continue to elevate the game. Just a whole bunch of buzzwords and just emptiness, just pure dull emptiness. I am disheartened by how Napheesa characterized our conversations and league leadership. But even when our perspectives differ, my commitment to the players and to this work will not waver. Just emptiness.
It's boilerplate. It's a completely boilerplate statement. Thrown in there is Napheesa's name to make it seem like it did come from the heart, but in reality, this was vetted by likely like 20 people before it was published.
Yes.
Maybe not, but it feels like it was
10, 5. Definitely, look, it was vetted by somebody.
By multiple people other than Kathy. Kathy did not make this in Canva and post it to the WNBA communications Twitter account. I mean, I think Fee literally just kicked off what is about to be probably one of the most contentious labor disputes in professional sports history. I feel like that's what's about to happen. I don't see how the league and players come to a sudden resolution on all the things that players are asking for, which is equity in the league and its revenue, by this October 31st deadline. I just don't see that rift. Like coming, I took part in a union negotiation on a new contract with a previous job.
Same.
That shit takes a long time to do.
Oftentimes it gets done at the final hour, like the 11th hour, 4 a.m. Seriously, this is how it happens.
It's a grind. It's stressful. In my case, we went on strike for, I think, like a week or so. It gets nasty. You have, as Napheesa alluded to, the company starting to use these buzzwords and starting to campaign and say things in a certain frame to make it seem like it's the players that are asking for too much. And in reality, they're just asking for, hey, can we get 50% like all these other leagues already do? And it's getting there. You could see it. The nastiness, especially coming from the league side, is going to boil over. But I'm very curious to see if they fine Fee after this, if they suspend her, if they do anything disciplinary after this statement, because I think if they do, they are just proving her point tenfold by doing so. So I'm very curious to see if they just hold off from doing that, or if they just can't let their ego go in this situation.
We avoid a lockout. Now, the thing about locking out, potentially striking and what have you, the next season doesn't start for a very long time. So this is something that could be figured out over the next, give or take, 6 months. It appears very contentious, but we don't know. People have to get in a room, make a deal work. I think both sides will be motivated to get a deal done, but I think the players will be motivated to get the right deal done for them, and they're absolutely not going to take, the players themselves, leadership, the Players Association, they're going to make sure, because they understand how important this is to push this league forward. Women in sports, women's basketball, WNBA, but also this group, they understand what this means. It's not just the players getting their just due. They also want to, on a bigger scale, I think, make more of an impact just sports wide. And here's a statement from the Women's Players Association, WNBA Players Association. Napheesa Collier is an outstanding leader and officer of this union. When Fee speaks, people listen. We are confident that her words today speak to the feelings and experiences of many, if not most or all of our members. That is uniformity. That is cohesion there, right? The leaders of this league and its teams would benefit from listening to her powerful statement. The players know their value, even if the league does not. They are fighting for their legacy and the future of basketball. Basically, what I just said. I probably should have read that first. And players, even Cheryl Reeve, coach, who coaches don't always speak about these things publicly, but she coaches Fee, and she said Fee's voice is an important one. I'm proud of Fee. Who Fee has become as a player and a person in this league is important. And you had other players just amplifying this, like just over and over support from a whole bunch of different players in this league, obviously, who are going to stand with her. I know somebody actually who I won't say, but they ran into Natasha Cloud today, and she basically said this tenfold, right? Like legitimately just ran into her in Brooklyn. If you know me, you probably know who I'm talking about. Like Elena Delaton also, who is not even a player in the league anymore. But like this is just everybody, and we'll see how this ends up. But I don't know how we avoid a lockout at this point. I think the finals will be great, but then after that, it's gonna be real interesting to see what happens. Unrivaled, also not that far from now, so there's that too. Hopefully, Fee could play. I don't know the extent of her injury at this point, but just to deal with that as well. Any last words, Candace, before we get out of here at 1:10 a.m. Eastern time on a
oh my goodness
Wednesday morning?
Just one, still in relation to the Fee statement,
Yes.
and it is that I desperately wish that CJ McCollum was like that. That's it. That's
what?
That's the extent.
It's an excellent point. It's an excellent point to end on. Yes, ladies, don't do what the fellas did. I don't think they will. I've full confidence. I have full confidence that they won't. They're y'all are just better than us at this stuff. I think in a lot of instances. Just don't do it. Listen, the CJ McCollum shit. My mic ended up falling. This has been happening lately. I got to tighten the screws here. He ended up. He's not the president anymore. Now it's Fred VanVleet. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL. But they did their election. We'll see what happens. But that's Candace Pedraza. Follow her. BlueSky, Instagram as well. FanSided, Winsidr. Follow me if you're new here. Welcome. Hope you enjoyed it. We do a bunch of shit on this channel because we're building up to actually doing a show that will start at a later date once some preparation is in order, and it'll be more organized here and not just doing random one-off streams here and there, so that this channel could grow a little bit more consistently. But follow Instagram, Twitter, BlueSky, all the things. New York Post sports video coming up on Knicks and seeing what we want to see rather for the preseason. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of Knicks coming up. Not necessarily on this channel, though some on here too. But on the Post, we're doing a lot of Knicks stuff. And then Action Buckets is back. And we're going to be 5 times a week again. So just did an episode today that's going to be out tomorrow on the Southeast Division. And those are all my notes. Okay. Thank you for watching. Drop a comment. Get to it later. Like, subscribe, all the things. And we will see you on another stream Thursday night on this channel. That's going to be about what the hell's going on with boxing's deal with Paramount. We're going to get deep into more labor negotiations.